Professor, I would like to ask you, what's the main challenge of education in your country, in France, Professor?
I don't know exactly that is the main challenge, but I think there is, like in other countries, a lot of challenge in my country. Perhaps the most important thing in France is that we have some difficulties because we had not reform in the past. So there is some exception, but mainly the French system is more traditional, is more schoolish than in other countries, because the reform after the Second World War with new education did not happen mainly in France. It happened in some areas, but not in general. So we have a very traditional system. Of course, because in a lot of countries there is new reform for more traditional system. It seems that there is some connection with the French system. But I think the main challenge is a big gap between the life of the young people and the organization of school. And the gap is more important each year, in fact, or each decades, if it is not each year. And in France, there is a lot of people who are thinking that the gap is a good thing, because they think that school is a kind of sanctuary for Republican values, and we need a big difference between the ordinary society and the school. But I don't think that it works. It works for some young people, from the people from the middle classes, perhaps, but not for the others. So the gap is a kind of problem. And we can see the same things in preschool education, that I know better than other level of education. And because the choice for preschool education in France is more traditional, school-like education with not a lot of play, it's not in connection with the ordinary life of the children. Or in a way, it's the beginning of the gap. In preschool education, the children learn that school is not like life, that it is another world, a specific world, and they have to learn the rule of this world. And in a way, the main objective the main goal of preschool education is to learn the rule of school. And there is some problem, but I'm not sure that learning the rule of school is the most important thing, because there is a confusion between the means and the goal and the objective. And perhaps is a main problem is how we can change the school to be more in connection with the life of the children. Of course, we have to accept that school is not the ordinary life, but we have to have less gap between the two, and perhaps we have to begin in preschool to find another model. But the main problem is that there is not a big debate about education in France, or when there is a debate, it's more about it was better in the past and we have to come back to the past. But the past was so different and the life of the children was so different in the past. But I don't think that the past, to look to the past is a good thing. You have to invent a new model of school, and I not think that there is a lot of resources for this in France. So I think it's a big challenge.
Professor, what do you mean when you talk about school being more like life? Can you give us example?
I think we can illustrate this in different aspects. The first aspect is perhaps not about the theme to learn, but about the way to learn, how we learn. I think we learn not only school, we learn in the everyday life, and the way we learn, it's in participation. The children participate to the family life, for example, to the life of the leisure groups or other things like this, and they learn. And I think perhaps one way to be closer from the life is to develop participation in the school, first in preschool and in the school, to develop some organization where the children, where the young can participate and learn with in this participation. That means, of course, it's an old idea. In a way, it's learning by doing, but it's more than learning than with doing. It's learning in doing first, but also is that we don't did the things alone. We are doing things with other people, and the connection with other people, the fact that we share, that we are doing things together, is more important things to learn. And to learn, we need to be engaged with the other in doing things, of course, but engaging with the other first. We have to share some value, perhaps, to share some practices, to practice together. And I think the main aspect, one of the main aspects of learning, it's this kind of participation. And I think it's the problem of the French school is that the children are like individuals with no connection with others. They are doing a lot of things alone and not together. And for this fact, they are not engaged in these activities because they don't share some things with the other. And I think like the first thing is perhaps to use the notion, not only the notion, but the organization with participation. Other aspect, I think there is another modality of learning in the social life. There is not only we learn by participation, by participating, but we learn also by exploration, by exploring. And the other aspect, perhaps, to develop, it's to open spaces for exploration. There is some space for exploration in school, but perhaps too much in academic space, like literature or something like this. But it's for some children, it's too difficult to explore because it's too it's not close from their ordinary life. And perhaps they have first to explore some things that they are closer. For example, to understand how the narrative is constructed. We can use not only novels, but also TV shows, TV narratives that are closer. And when the children know better how is the narrative, how it's constructed, we can show how it is the same things in novel than in TV. So it's to find space to explore, space to discover different things important, even also abstract things, but more to begin the exploration in space near the ordinary life of the children and step by step to explore space for our way.
Would you say that that kind of education it's easier to be done in a small city, for example? I'm thinking about the possibility of the teacher to know each one of the students, or it doesn't matter, you can accomplish it in a large or in a small city?
I think it's, yes, of course, it's more easy in small communities, but it's finished in our world, because even in small communities now, there is a lot of people who come from everywhere in the world. So one important thing, of course, that is not enough developed in France, is the teacher has to know better what is the life of the children, and the real life, not what they imagine. For example, there is a lot of immigrant children in France, but the teachers sometimes imagine that they are living like their parents in their origin, countries of origin. In fact, it's different when you are living in France and when you come from Africa or Asia. You have developed a specific kind of living in connection with the host country. And the teacher need to know better what is the real life of the children, to know what are their space to explore them. And I think one important thing is learning is not only the specificity of children. It's also a task for the teacher. The teacher needs to learn from the children, to learn from the parents, and they need to involve parents in education, in organization of school to this. And I think it's very important that it is possible in the big cities or in the little one. It's a way to accept that as a teacher we need to learn and to organize the way of participation of children with the possibility to bring something from their everyday life. It's a complex thing, because I think the culture of classroom should be between multicultural, but not exactly multicultural, but also they have to build a specific culture, because the research we did show that the parents, for example, for immigrant children, want the children learn the culture of the host country. So they don't want that teacher teach their own culture. It's their job, the job of the parents. So we have to understand that there is insertion, inclusion in the culture of the host country, but this culture has to be open to the different culture. And I think it's a complex, because the question is not clear in France. It is not clear in the political level. It is very difficult to teacher to be clear, because there is a big debate in France, and there is a assimilation tradition, and how you can have a different position, but it's not exactly a multicultural position, because we can think that a lot of immigrant children don't want to be different than their other children in France. They want to share some things, but some things open, which is not the repetition of the past culture, but a new culture more open to big differences, but with some things you can share, for example, the language. Of course, there is the possibility to speak other language, it's important, but it's important that all the students speak correctly French. It's the parents of immigrant children ask this. They need that the children speak very well French because it's difficult for them to study in France. So if they don't speak very well French, it should be very difficult. I am not optimistic about the situation in France. Even there is some new ideas sometimes, but I think France is a very conservative country, and we like to repeat the past and to think that the past was better when the France was a big country, imperial country, and we think that it's still the same world we have to repeat. And it's very difficult for the French people to think that we're a little country with a big past, but a little country in a very open world, a very difficult and competitive world, and we have to be different, to be more open to the difference, don't to think that the French values are universal or the better values in the world, and to learn from the other. But there is some change in France, but so little and so not very quick.
Is it a good career in France now to be a teacher?
It's a little bit complex in change. In the way there is it is very attractive in France because it's not so bad to be teacher in France. But it's known now that it's more difficult than in the past because the children are different. So in a way it's attractive, in a way it's not attractive, and for this reason it's a good job but difficult job, and it's why for some people it's attractive and for others it's not attractive. But it's a difficult job, I think, because we need reform, and it should be more and more difficult if we don't change the way of teaching in France. And it seems that some politics think that we have to change a little bit the job of the teacher. I think the main challenge is that the teacher in France in general expect from the organization, from the ministry, they bring to them some new knowledge, and they ask for new training for this. And I think the challenge is to the teacher to learn by themselves during all their career. I think it's more important. Because in France the teacher are the master, so they have a very high level of qualification. I think it's possible to develop this idea during the training and they have after the means to learn by themselves. I think it's more important because the training, the organization of training should be every time too late, because it makes time to find the new knowledge the teacher needs. So the better way is to learn by themselves. The other aspect is to organize the classroom as a space of learning for everybody, not only for the children, but for the teacher. I think they have to learn during the interaction with the children, and to develop some organization where it is not only the children which are learning, but also teachers.
Professor, we know that France and Europe, some countries more than others, but in Europe you are facing some challenge, economic challenge right now. Does it affect the education, the system in France, for example?
It's a little bit difficult to answer to this question, because in a way we can say yes, and in a way no. Yes, because of course every time we think about the future of the country and the economic, and it's important that we invest in education. It's the politics of European Union to invest in education with some objective to be better than USA or something like this, as the official objective. Invest in research, invest in university, invest in education. And but in other way, because the conservative way of thinking, there is a lot of other aspects when we are speaking about or debating about the change in education in connection with moral aspect, citizenships and some things like this, which are more present in the debate than the economic aspect. There is a big tradition in France that we have not to submit education to economic. Perhaps it's. I think there is a connection not only with work, but all the aspects of the life. But what I would say about participation and exploration, it is that I propose a connection between the way to learn in school and the way we are learning during all the life. So if you are you have better capacity for participation and for exploration, you can use this in the work or in your family life or in the leisure life, and you can learn more for this reason. When you work, more you participate to your work, more you participate to your leisure or a lot of different things during your life, more you learn. And I think that it is the more important that you have to build a connection between the learning during the school years and the learning during the major part of the life. I think the first aspect is that it's very different in France between the field of the level of student, and I have some master course, because I teach only in master, not before, master course that there is big and very interesting participation. But I can do some comparison, not between, I have experience in Brazil, but I have more experience with Belgium, with it close from France. And when I teach in Belgium, the students have a better participation than in France. And I think that there is a problem of high school in France, because high school in France is a bad preparation from a university, because they develop some passive attitude to learn things with no participation, no activity. So for this reason, in France, in general, the participation is less important than other countries, than in Brazil and in other, because I think we have this big problem of, and we know the problem. There is a lot of people who write about this, that high school is a bad preparation for university.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you to you.